Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Chewing the Fat. This is a guest episode with a previous client of Simplr Health, Natalie Mackenzie. Welcome, Natalie. How are you?
Good. Hello.
I've been, Dean was updating me and keeping me abreast of your journey along the way. It was a fair while ago now from memory. And, you know, it was quite astounding, the stuff he was sharing me with about you, what you were getting from the protocol and what you were doing outside once you'd finished and all that sort of stuff. First off, thanks for joining me at an early hour on a Friday morning. And secondly, fill us in. Tell us firstly how you came to Simplr Health, and then about your journey along it and what's been happening since.
Okay.
It's been about a year since you finished the protocol.
It has. So I kind of phased out, about a year ago, actually over a year ago now. Pardon?
I phased out.
I know. It's a funny terminology, but yeah. So I've been, a year ago, and
well, great.
Yeah. Like it's, it is. It's amazing. So I guess, like, to go back to the beginning, it was. I'm a mum of two little cherubs most of the time, and so I got to. They were sort of my youngest had just started school, and I think, like a lot of mums, and maybe I'm generalising, but I lost my body. Like, I lost ownership of my body through childbirth and pregnancy, and then, lost for many years of raising them when they're so little. There's so much give that goes on, and I guess I got to a point personally where I was fit, like I was exercising. I have to say I've never been motivated by appearance, so I couldn't really give a shit about what I look like in terms of, I'm not motivated in that way at all, but I just felt, I felt bloated. That's all I felt like a balloon. And I guess what was starting to happen is that when I ate food, which I love food, like food is amazing, and I'm very motivated by food. And every time I ate, I just felt more and more uncomfortable. And it probably hit me, a couple of things went on, but it hit me, my husband and I, we went out for dinner. We never go out for dinner because we have two young kids. And we went out for dinner, and we had to leave halfway through because I was eating, and then my body, I just felt like I was going to be sick. Like I was just cramping and very, very uncomfortable. And I was like, we've got to go home. I've got to lie down. And so I was starting, I was thinking, I am not right. and I guess, alongside that, so that was happening for me. And then alongside that, my husband, Chris, had an accident. He ruptured his Achilles.
Right.
Which, for anyone who knows about the Achilles, apparently it's the slowest place in the body to heal. And you can't move. You literally have to, he could not wait there for, I think it was a couple of months. And so, it was full on. So I really had like a third dependent after my two kids because, looking after him. And so he was growing fatter and more depressed at the fact that he was just at the mercy of his leg. Yeah. And so I guess those two things, like my kind of quiet wondering about my own body, and Chris seeing right up close, like, he cannot move and he's just kind of getting worse and worse, that they kind of came together, and it was like, I've got to do something, and I think you've got to do something too. And I feel very, very lucky, actually, that we kind of like that the answer appeared, it feels, because we were word of mouth through to Simplr Health. So Jo, who I know is a big part of the Simplr Health family, she had sort of shared her journey, and so I'd been noticing the huge impact, that positive impact that was having on her, and so I remember we were visiting Chris's parents, and I just said to him, I don't know, what do you think? Like, this is something that we can control, when there's a lot with your body that you can't control at the moment, and I'm going to do it, and what do you think? And so I remember ringing Dean and kind of going, okay, like we got to do something. And so I feel like that's, like, in terms of thinking about like what makes this a success for people, or what makes this successful for me and for Chris, there wasn't another option. Like, it was like, let's sort ourselves out or not, like, it's like we can carry on this trajectory of feeling like crap, or we know the knowledge is there, we know it works because we've seen it with Jo, and like, we can just make a decision and just do it. And so that's what we did. So we started in November of 20, what would have that been? 2020. Yeah, 2020. And so we went right through Christmas. My husband is a brewer. He brews beer, and he I mean, that I just cannot believe that he didn't drink for 4 months. Like, that was unbelievable. And yeah, it was like we had this very much this clarity of like, let's just get on with it and do this, and then we can get on with the rest of our lives. And I feel that that's a real mantra of mine anyway. Like, just get it done. Stop kind of dabbling with right foods, wrong foods, and and just get it done, so then you can forget about your weight and your health, like just to get it all sorted, and then carry on with what you want to do. So that was the lead in. A very long story for you, Trevor.
No, that's fine. So much of what you said then was just like, ticking boxes, so to speak, for me. It's just like, yep, that's what I did, yep. And there was it just makes such a difference when you're resolute about, this is just what's got to happen now, versus seeing if I can, or playing it out and doing my best, or but I am this way, so I can't. When you mentioned the drinking, it was like about a month in, my wife said to me, how are you going with the not being able to, not drinking?
Yeah.
Not a problem. And that shocked her, because she, I was drinking a fair bit at that stage every day. So to her, it was just like, are you okay? Like, is this all right?
Yeah.
Are you that side of it all? But it wasn't, because as you said, when you're just, this is happening, all that goes away.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone that knows Chris could not believe that he wasn't drinking, given how passionate he is about beer. And it was just that mentality of, well, we just do this for now. This isn't forever. And we just do this to sort ourselves out and to get back on track. And then we get on with our lives. So it was, and then being on it, I mean, I honestly, apart from the first couple of weeks, which is like a bit of like a whoa to the body, it was honestly the easiest thing I've ever done. Like, you just follow the sheet, do what you're told, and it happens. Like, I still can't quite fathom that, actually. Like, it's like, oh, I just do this. And this is the result of that. And so I think for me, it was interesting because transitioning out of it and moving into the other phases and then into maintenance was almost trickier for me to find like I was convinced that I would start eating again and then like wake up one day and be back how I was, like, 24 kilos heavier. And so there was so much of the mental side of like accepting what I saw now in the mirror, and not from a vanity perspective, like not, from what my body was capable of. And when I decide to do something, that it can actually do whatever I tell it to do. And I think that power is what now drives me, like a year on. It's like whatever I decide that I want to be able to do with my body, it will happen. And that is like unbelievably freeing to
brilliant too, because part of the reason and part of the coaching side of this for people as well is that we're used to running on our body telling us what's going on. I feel this way, so I can or can't do that. And the simplicity of, there's such conflicting and complicated information about health and blanket statements of this is good, this is bad, you can do this, you can't do that, this works, this doesn't. No context given to it at all. And as you say, when you hand yourself over and just go, this is happening for now, let's see what happens in that context, and just do what is on the plan and the sheet in front of me, everything works out. And it is
Yeah, very simple.
So on that side of things, when you get the whole world of my body can do whatever I tell it to. What happened after you finished the?
When I was actually away camping, we're big campers, and I was away camping up in or down in the Snowy Mountains region, which is a place that's very dear to my heart. And I actually hit my target weight or my goal weight, what I thought I was aiming for when I was away. And I went on this run, which I am not a runner, or I wasn't a runner. I was not a runner. I plodded. I tried to run when I was heavier. And it was, I hated it, but I did it because I thought it was good for me. And yet because I had all this new energy, I was like, I wonder if I could run, I wonder what that would be like to run. And so I went for this run up this mountainside, and it was a 5-kilometre run, not even, which even now, like if I'd said that, a 5-kilometre run, whoa, that's huge, but it's like I went and did this run, and I came back down the mountain, and I texted my friend who is a runner, and I texted her, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have just run. Like I never thought that I'd be able to run again, post children. There's lots of complications that can happen, which, was certainly part of my story. So to run was like, wow. And I texted her with this endorphin high that I was on, having just run. And she beautifully texted me back, and she said, well, Nat, there's this 25-kilometre run to the top of Mount Kosciuszko that I've always wanted to do, if you're interested. Wow. And, I tell them now, like dangle a carrot, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I wrote back, and I was like, okay, I'll do it.
I thought the story was just the 5K run up the hill.
No. So we it was like, oh my gosh, I am going to run 25 kilometres to the top of Mount Kosciuszko. Okay, and it's this just again this so it's so powerful to know, okay, my body can't do it right now, and I'm going to have to train for this. But I have no doubt that my body will get me, that I can get my body to the top of Mount Kosciuszko. So, so we didn't do it because of COVID, and, we did it this year. So 2 months ago, I ran to the top of Mount Kosciuszko, and I trained, and I got there, and I tell you, like, it was such an emotional run because not only had I not caught COVID and managed to get there, which a lot of people had dropped out, and there was a whole heap of other stuff that, like can we actually get to this event?
Yeah.
And we got there, and I ran, and the whole way I was just like, oh, I am doing this. I'm doing something that I never thought would be possible, and I got to the top, and ran back down, and and I'm running past these people like I would never have put myself in the same realm as these people, and I got, and I went over the finish line, and I felt like I could keep going.
Wow.
And it was just, there was just so, I mean, it sounds so naff, but the pride that I felt and still feel in myself, that that my body did that, is awesome. So, so now I am a runner, which is, ridiculous. So I guess, like, since it's just been this sense of, I whatever I decide to do, I know that I can just work towards that and get it done. And and that's across all areas of my life, that that knowledge and power. And life is going to happen, but I know that the physical thing that I sit in is in the best shape that it can be to get me through it.
Yeah. Amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And what did you, because when you were talking earlier on about being fit and, training and stuff like that, I was in a similar way. I was doing high intensity workouts, 45 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week, and still 4 kilos overweight. Did you find anything around, because I was a bit apprehensive about stopping that side of things to start with. It seems like, no, just back all that right off, just at least for the first few weeks, and then we'll see how you go. And I'm like, but I'm going to lose all that fitness, all the effort I put into it and all that sort of thing. And it sort of worked ass backwards. It was like I felt less out of breath doing certain things. I felt like my heart didn't start thumping and racing as much when I'd climb stairs, for example, or walk to the shops from the car in the car park or whatever. And I'm thinking, now this seems like it's all backwards. I've stopped the fitness side of things, yet I'm feeling more fit. Did you find that?
Yeah, I still don't really get the science of that. Like, I still go, but again, it's like, okay, just do what I'm told. But I think, like for Chris, that was actually one of the main drivers for him to go on the protocol, because for him, he could not move.
Yes.
So he didn't move, and he lost, I think he was 28 kilos from not moving, which is, whereas, I think for me, I was doing a lot of exercise, and nothing like, I mean, God, I was so uncomfortable. That's all I can remember. Like, even when I think about what I was doing, I was just uncomfortable the whole time. And so stopping was tricky to begin with, but then when, and actually I felt like I had so much energy that I was kind of like, like the horse at the that's about to be let out of the gate. Like I remember sort of, once I kind of got into it and it was like, I'm ready to go. Like, and then it was, like this is, it's seeing when you're well, how your body responds to the same exercises that you were doing before and how much easier it is. And even now, like I went to a yoga class the other week and I was like, touching my toes and I had that same feeling of like, man, this is all like, I haven't done a yoga class in months, but it's like, it's so easy, much easier for my body to stretch and move than how it used to.
I think about my tie my shoes. Every time I go out, when I bend over to tie my shoes, it's just like, man, there it is again. I can still breathe. I haven't got to hold my breath.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing with the running. Like I remember how I pounded the pavement and plodded along, and now to not carry as much and be able to bounce along, is a real difference.
Yeah.
And the only negative that I found to all of this, which I think is hilarious, is I'm a swimmer as well, and swimming I did before and have done the whole way through this journey, and I swim in the ocean, and the year previous through winter, I managed to swim through winter without a wetsuit. And I was like, wow, I've swum, gets pretty cold. Now there is no way I can get through winter without a wetsuit, because I think I've lost all that visceral fat that kept my body, I'd have to really work at wanting to go into the water without a wetsuit. So that's my only negative of kind of, like now I feel the cold. Whereas
longevity stuff around that, I'm sure Dean will go into on some other chewing the fat type stuff about, cold therapy and hot therapy.
Yeah.
That's great. To answer your question though about what we were talking about with how it works with doing less exercise, feeling more fit. The science behind that is that the insulin is very inflammatory, but it also stiffens your smooth muscle fibers. So, in other words, all your organs, your heart, your liver, all that sort of stuff. So, if you think of your heart and the chambers coming in and out of your heart, and that pumping and those vessels being very stiff, your heart's got to pump a lot harder and faster to move the same amount of blood that it does, versus those chambers being elastic and being able to expand and fill with blood and help your heart move those things. So. It made, when I learned that, it made perfect sense of why I could run up the stairs, go to bed, put my head, and I say that, I've said that a lot on these calls, and just be able to relax and go to sleep without being out of breath for 20 or 30 seconds while I waited for my heart to slow down and my breath to come back, thinking, but I train 4 times a week, like I should be fit.
Yeah, wow. Huh. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that is amazing. Congratulations. It's a like I said, I thought that 5K run was the story.
No, that was the start. Yeah, that was the start of it. Yeah.
Also, what have you created around having that, the pull to be healthy? Like, what are you up to now that's keeping you? Because we spoke pretty quickly before we started this call, and what works for people and what's worked for me being involved with Dean now in Simplr Health is creating that future that pulls for me to be healthy. I can't be on these calls now, for example, and the size of my foot that I used to have. Yeah. How's it going on Simplr Health?
That's a great question. Like, I'm really obviously I'm incredibly motivated as a mum. So, my children and being a role model, I've got 2 girls. So being a role model to them is really important for me. and wanting to be around, or set myself up to be around for as long as I can for them. So I think that's a big factor in like returning to how I was, or losing track and getting lost, isn't an option, because I want to stick around as much as I can. But I think even from a day-to-day level, I'm so profoundly different in my outlook of like my energy level, my that can do. I can go and do whatever I want, and how I feel in my body. Like that's the biggest for me daily. Like like just like everything, like my sleep. Everything is kind of feeling on track. And so I think that is a huge motivator, that, well, I need to keep this feeling. And I think when I notice that I might, like if I've had a big weekend, or, like indulged, it's like, that was great. And I love food. So like, of course I'm going to do that. But it's like, I feel like I've just learned how to rebalance everything and really take control, so that I can, feel really good. And I think that's probably the biggest motivator.
That's a big one.
So yes, I can just show up more for my family and be, and just like make the most of life and living. And I think I'm definitely very in touch with how I feel in this thing that I live in.
Earlier on was good too about, and I think a lot of especially mums could relate listening to that, is that when you have kids, that so much of it is just not about you anymore, and you're lost in all that, and the focus comes off, like you said, what you look like, how you feel. It's all just about having those kids. And sometimes what I think can show up for people is, and Dean and I have spoken about this, is you get caught up in trying to provide the best for your kids, and whoever that may look at the time, and lose focus of what is actually the best for your kids.
Yeah.
What's best as far as their health goes is exactly what you're pointing to now, being that example, showing them what's possible with your food, how to eat to sustain you healthy and live your life as best you can, versus how we were probably brought up with, you feel bad there, eat some crap. That'll make
it was funny actually, because it's
go eat pizza.
It's just been Mother's Day, and so I got my daughter, who's in year 1, had to fill out like a thing about your mum, and I laughed because it said what's her favourite food? Oysters. Absolutely. And then what's she really good at? And it was swimming and running.
Right.
And I thought, and I just thought, wow, they're such sponges. Like they're just watching, and they're seeing me look after myself and eat right and move my body. And, and that's the greatest lesson that I can kind of give them, really. In being a role model, and they come down and watch me swim, or my oldest is joining me swimming, which is just incredible, and so it's I really want to be I just want to be the best example for them, really.
It's the old airplane safety thing at the start of the plane, when the oxygen mask falls, grab it for yourself first so you can help others. Same thing with And
I think the biggest, like when I think about Simplr Health and sort of what it's enabled, I think it's like, for me, the bit that I found most useful was really just the education. And I remember I remember feeling quite frustrated with Dean at times along the way, because it was like, where's the recipes, or where's the handout, or, and I think what in, whether it's like what it enabled was that I learned, rather than along the way, alongside some education from you guys. But it was almost, this definitely a term from my work, but like this experiential process of me learning through doing what to eat, how to prepare food, what's good for me, what's not, and it wasn't all kind of handed to me on this silver platter, like make this recipe and do this. And so I think, therefore, coming out of it, it's like when I need to rebalance, or when I need to tighten, or whatever term you want to use for it, it's like I know exactly what I need to go and do that. And I think previously it's like, I thought I was really healthy and ate a good diet, and but I was so I just didn't have the education around what I actually needed to eat to go down in, to get my body in check.
Yeah, awesome. So cool. Thanks so much for the chat. It was great catching up with you. I haven't seen you in ages and ages and ages. And if you hear anything in that for yourself, it's inspired me to start, because I hate running as well. Most I do.
You don't have to run. Just find the thing.
One of my mates has been able to do another Tough Mudder with him, or a Spartan.
Oh wow! Do I think it's just finding the thing that makes you feel good, and like it might be running or swimming or going for a bushwalk or whatever, but it's just whatever makes you feel good.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Nat. All right, that's another episode of Chewing the Fat. We'll be back again soon. Thanks for tuning in. Any questions or anything like that, please feel free to contact us, and we'll maybe catch up with Nat again soon and see what she's up to in another year or so. Thanks, Nat.
Thank you. Thanks so much.